Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. I kind of want to talk about the Boston Celtics and how I think they're going to change the NBA. This is something that somebody actually brought up to me last night. I went to play pool last night after work. I got out at 3:30. Where I go to play for the regional qualifier is about an hour away, and 5 o'clock was practice, and 6 o'clock is when the qualifier started. So when I got home at 3:30, like, I had to eat and be out the door by like 4:15, 4:20 to get down there on time for practice, and then to, just because it's completely different. Like, where I live, we don't have bar room tables, and when you go to play on a regional qualifier or regionals or at Las Vegas, they have 7-foot tables with $600 felt on them. Okay, so it's a little bit different than playing on a bar room table. But I was there last night, and I was talking. They had the Mavericks Celtics game on, right? And one guy there was a huge Celtics fan. And he was telling everybody how, the Celtics are the next dynasty in the NBA. And now I've said teams have dynasty potential in the past. And what I mean by that is long-term dynasty potential down the road. Like the Charlotte Hornets, it doesn't look like it's going to happen now, but if they had kept Miles Bridges, you know what I'm saying? Like LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Mark Williams, if they would have been able to keep those four together, their team would have been really, really fucking good in the next 3 to 4 years, and they still will be. But the Boston Celtics are on another level compared to the rest of the NBA, and I think we can all say that, right? Like, obviously, with all due respect, their path to the NBA Finals has been relatively easy. Donovan Mitchell sat out in a couple of the games against Cleveland, against the Miami Heat. They didn't have Jimmy Butler, right? Then they played the Indiana Pacers, and the Pacers are just defensively not really capable of stopping Boston, and Boston has two of the best perimeter defenders in the league, in Drew Holiday and Derek White. But this guy was telling me, he's like, the Celtics are going to be going back to the finals for probably the next 3 years. And I found it very hard to disagree with him. A lot of people there were like, no, there was a lot of Knicks fans there. A lot of people were like, fuck you, that's not true at all. And, they had they had a cakewalk to the finals this year. And in a way, they kind of did. But the thing is, if you look at the contracts, right, of this Boston Celtics team, every single person on their roster of any importance, like Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, these guys are locked in until at least the 2025-2026 season. Drew Holiday's locked in until 2027 or 2028 right now. Porzingis is locked in until 25-26. Tatum's got a player option in 25-26. Jaylen Brown's locked in until 29. Derek White is got 1 year left on his deal. He's on an expiring contract this upcoming year. They still have Horford for this upcoming year. And I'm pretty sure they're going to bring back Derek White, and they're also going to, Al Horford's probably going to retire, but they're going to look for someone else. But their core guys of Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Tatum, and Brown, and I'm sure they're going to extend Derek White at some point. These guys are locked in unless they find somebody else to replace Derek White. I think getting rid of Derek White would be a huge loss for them. But this is a team that's locked in easily for the next 2 years. And this is a team that if they win against the Mavericks, which I think they're going to, this is a team that could go back to the NBA Finals for the next 2 years. And could win the next 2 years. They have enough talent, and this kind of, pokes a hole in the theory that super teams don't work. Super teams work when everybody understands their role. If you look at a team like the Phoenix Suns, they try to just put a bunch of scorers together on the same team and said, here, take us to the NBA Finals. And it doesn't work like that. When you look at the teams over the past 10 years that have won an NBA Finals or have made it as far as the NBA Finals or have won multiple times, you look at the LeBron James-led Cleveland teams, right? And even the Miami Heat team he was on. It was Bron, Wade, and Bosh kind of took a a back seat. In Cleveland with LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love kind of took the back seat. When you look at the Golden State Warriors, you have you pretty much have 2 scorers and 1 utility guy, right? Even if you look at the Warriors, right? It's Steph, Clay, and Draymond takes the back seat. Draymond's the guy that he's your Swiss Army knife guy, right? You look now at the Boston Celtics, right? The Boston Celtics have Drew Holiday, who is a really, he's a star player and could probably be even better if he got more shots. But Drew Holiday understands his role. You know what I'm saying? Drew Holiday is not going out there looking to score 40. You know what I'm saying? Is he capable of it? Yeah, if you give him enough shots, probably. But it's just the idea, like Drew Holiday and Derek White understand that they're out there as support players. Same thing with Kristaps Porzingis. Like Porzingis understands that he's out there as to block shots, shoot threes, and rebound. You know what I'm saying? Porzingis understands why he is on that team. And everybody on that team understands this is the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown show, and everybody else is just living in their world. You know what I'm saying? It's their world and everyone else is just living in it. And I feel like once we get to this next upcoming season, you're going to see teams like Philadelphia make some major changes. At this point, I think they're going to get Paul George, right? And it's going to be the Joel Embiid, Paul George team, and Tyrese Maxey is going to become probably more of a facilitator than a scorer. And there is going to be a period of adaptation where, Tyrese Maxey and Paul George and Embiid are all going to have to learn how to play together. But it's just the idea, teams that have players that understand their roles and understand, that's not my job. Super teams like that can work. And I understand why they don't always work because, you look at Phoenix right now. Phoenix is in salary cap space hell. But so are the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are also in salary cap space hell. And every other team in the fucking league is going to be looking at them and saying, okay, how do we compete with what Boston has put together? Even the Milwaukee Bucks, right? The Milwaukee Bucks traded Drew Holiday to get Damian Lillard. Probably, at the time it looked like a good trade. I'm not gonna lie. You're losing one of the best perimeter defender in the NBA, but you're also getting one of the best scoring point guards in the NBA, arguably the best point guard in the NBA, right? At that time, that trade seemed like it made a lot of sense. You wanted to keep Giannis happy. But the thing is, even with the Milwaukee Bucks, when they won their ring in 2021, it was everybody understood that it was Giannis's world, right? And everybody else was just living in it. You know what I'm saying? And Giannis, everybody on Giannis's team when they won in 2021 understood their role. Brook Lopez understood that his job was to play defense and shoot threes. Chris Middleton understood that him and Drew Holiday were out there to it was pretty much Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday. And Drew Holiday was I'm out here to play defense and do the same shit, that I'm doing currently on Boston. Just play defense and, if maybe score 15 points a game, And I look around the league and I just feel like there's going to be a lot of teams trying to make drastic changes this offseason to compete with what Boston is doing. You're looking at teams like Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm sure, would like to get back to the second round of the playoffs and, really make a name for themselves. Chet, you got another year of Chet Holmgren. You have SGA, who was an MVP candidate. Jalen Williams is looking really good. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be back. And, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm sure them as well, they're feeling disappointed that they lost to the Dallas Mavericks. I think everybody had the Minnesota Timberwolves winning that series because of Anthony Edwards and Cat and Rudy Gobert. Even on the Timberwolves, they're a team I think they made the Western Conference Finals, right? And you have Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, who are your primary scorers, and Rudy Gobert and I think Jaden McDaniels. I know there's a Jalen and a Jaden. I'm gonna get it fucked up, but I think Jaden McDaniels is a guy that understands my job is to shoot threes and play defense. Rudy Gobert understands my job is to play defense, rebound the basketball, and just score shit under the basket. So when I look at some of the teams around the league, I just think there's going to be a lot teams like Golden State, teams like the Lakers. Who else? Who's another team that I think, I don't know what Atlanta's going to do, but Chicago, right? Even Chicago is not giving up on what they got. They're going to try the Lonzo Ball experiment if they can this upcoming year and see if Lonzo Ball is even capable of playing basketball again. But they're a team that's like, a team that everybody I think expected to blow it up that is going to probably try to run it back. You even got DeMar DeRozan out here saying he'd like to go back to Chicago. So, I feel like this NBA offseason is going to be really interesting. You got a couple decent free agents out there. LeBron is going to opt out, obviously. I think he's going to go back to the Lakers, but LeBron is a free agent. Paul George is going to be a free agent. OG Anunoby is going to be a free agent. Pascal Siakam is going to be a free agent, even though I think he's going back to the Pacers. I think that's kind of a given at this point. Unless for whatever reason the 76ers swing and miss on Paul George and then they offer Pascal Siakam some ridiculous contract. But even then, I kind of don't think he's going to go there. And the reason I say that is because the fit just seems like it would be really, really weird. Having Joel Embiid and Pascal Siakam both being post players on the same team to me just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. He could get out and run with Tyrese Maxey, but as far as I don't think Pascal Siakam has the outside shooting at a consistency level that the 76ers would need to really justify adding him. But I think that the Warriors are also going to try to unload Andrew Wiggins and pick up somebody else. Rumors are Jimmy Butler's out there potentially as a trade target. So Brandon Ingram is a guy that people are going to be targeting. If you are the Golden State Warriors and you can find a way to land a Brandon Ingram, or if you're the Pacers and you can find a way to land a Brandon Ingram, or if you're the Knicks or somebody, right? If you're a team out there that's looking to contend and you can add Brandon Ingram to your team, or OG Anunoby or Paul George, right? There's a lot of teams in the league that are simply just one piece away from being at least in the championship conversation, right? And yeah, even Denver, the Denver Nuggets, right? They're looking to trade Michael Porter Jr. now, and I kind of understand why, but if they can trade Michael Porter Jr. to Miami for Jimmy Butler, or trade him to the Pelicans for Brandon Ingram, right? That suddenly puts their team back on the map. All they need to do is trade one fucking player. If they trade Michael Porter Jr. and they can swing that for somebody like a Jimmy Butler, or even Mikal Bridges from the Brooklyn Nets, right? If they can swing Michael Porter Jr. for a Mikal Bridges, right? Suddenly, you're back on top. Mikal Bridges is one of the best defenders in the fucking league as a two-way guy. Granted, I think he's kind of taken a step back defensively this past year because he's playing on such a bad team, and I'm starting to think he doesn't give a fuck. But it's just the idea, right? All the Denver Nuggets need to do is trade Michael Porter Jr., which is probably going to happen because he's just really inconsistent in the playoffs, and he's a young guy that another team might really be interested in. But if you can trade Michael Porter Jr. and upgrade that into a Jimmy Butler, a Brandon Ingram, even an OG Anunoby. You know what I'm saying? Even OG Anunoby for them would be fucking phenomenal. OG Anunoby, even though he's injured all the time, OG Anunoby is still a solid player for at least 50-55 games throughout the regular season. And, the Denver Nuggets are a good enough team where they won't really need OG Anunoby until the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? They can get through the regular season without Michael Porter Jr. They did it once already. You know what I'm saying? He was out for an entire season with a back injury and they still made the playoffs. So it's just there's a lot of teams that that Boston Celtics blueprint that or at least the precedent that the Boston Celtics have set for the rest of the league. As I hit my mic for the fourth fucking time, there's going to be a lot of teams looking to compete with Boston. And I think as time goes on here, in the offseason or after the NBA Finals, you're going to see contract extensions. You're going to see just every team going after guys trying to make it so they can compete with Boston. Because now, right, I don't even think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when the Boston Celtics win the NBA Finals, unless the Dallas Mavericks do something that's never been done in NBA history and they come back from 3-0, right, to win the NBA Finals. Unless they come back from that, every team's going to try to be putting together a roster to compete with the Boston Celtics. Regardless of what you think of their run, okay? That's the team to beat now. And I think a lot of teams in the East are going to be trying to do that, as well as some teams in the West. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Denver expected to lose to Minnesota. Just saying, like, I don't think everybody I work with who I was in this betting pool with, I was the only person who took the Minnesota Timberwolves over the Denver Nuggets. And everybody's like, I can't believe you have Minnesota beating Denver. I can't believe you have Minnesota beating Denver. And they fucking beat Denver. So it's just the idea, like, in both conferences, you're going to have a lot of teams loading up, but in the East, you know, Miami, Chicago, Indiana, Philadelphia, like, there's just going to be, even the New York Knicks are going to be looking to try to maybe add some pieces to just keep what they got, because they're probably going to lose Isaiah Hartenstein, but, like, all I'm saying is that the offseason's going to be shaky. You know, there's already talks that the Oklahoma City Thunder could sign Isaiah Hartenstein, so all I'm saying is this offseason is going to be pretty crazy, and I think the Boston Celtics have pretty much put the entire NBA on notice at this point. That's like, yeah, like, you can, if you're willing to dig deep into your fucking pocketbook and go to, like, well over the fucking luxury tax, over the second apron and shit, just to retain the guys you have, if you can make trades and pull, you know, just put these people in your fucking building, right, and then you can extend them, like, you have a shot to be a team that goes to the NBA Finals. You know, in the last 7 years, I think they went 5 times, and that was before they added Jrue Holiday, right? And Kristaps Porzingis. But now that they have them, it's like, yeah, we're the team to beat. And I honestly, I don't think Boston's getting any worse. I think the more that these guys play together, the better they're gonna get. And somehow Al Horford at 38 years old is still a good basketball player. So tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.